Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Magnum Martel, and welcome back to another video. So, a while back, I want to say about a year ago now, the YouTube channel Extra Credits did a little video talking about how if you make Nazis a playable character in video games, anyone who is forced to play as them might be upset that they didn't choose to be the bad guys. And if you do actively choose to play as a Nazi, then you're probably a Nazi in real life. It is some of the dumbest shit I've ever seen in my life. The entire internet was making fun of them for a solid 2 weeks. And you know, in internet time, 2 weeks is a long time. I myself did not do a video about their video at the time because I was just far too busy doing other things. But I was aware that it was going on, and I wanted to do a video on it, I just didn't get the opportunity. Well, here we are about a year later, after some radio silence, they've come back with another fucking doozy. This time talking about a subject that I have already actually covered. That is orcs being racist. Oh, excuse me. So let's get right into it and find out what's going on, so I can make fun of them, because they're a bunch of stupid-ass wokelets. Quick note here, I was actually wrong. It wasn't a year ago. It was 2 years ago now that they made that video about Nazis. Hard to believe it. 2 years, and it is still easily rememberable that fucking quick.
If you paid attention to the game's discourse on the internet during 2019 and 2020...
I have been paying attention, in fact. In fact, I've been paying so much attention that I know that it's actually you guys causing all the problems while the rest of us are over here like, would you just shut the fuck up and leave us alone? But let's move on.
You might have noticed a reoccurring argument about some species from fantasy media, specifically orcs. Now, not to worry, this episode isn't going to be just another member of the chorus talking about how if all orcs in a game are blindly evil, that it's right.
Okay, I haven't actually watched the full video yet. This is the first time watching the full thing. But based on the coverage done by my peers and cohorts, I know that you're lying.
Instead, we want to discuss how that particular choice is simply bad game design.
Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and skip over their shitty intro and their sponsorship because none of that's relevant here.
Much of the recent conversation on orcs points out that characterizing a whole species in your game as ugly, warlike, and malevolent might be harmful to real-world groups regularly mischaracterized as ugly, warlike, and malevolent.
I love how they go out of their way to directly draw a little innocent old black woman with a cup of coffee. Because they did this on purpose. They went out of their way to pick an innocent-looking black woman instead of some kind of black man. Because, you know, the whole thing about if they went with a big, burly black man, it would be racist. But an innocent grandma is perfectly fine. Meanwhile, they're sitting there literally making the comparison that they're accusing others of extra credits. You're only hurting your own sense of argument's sake by making the comparison that you're trying to say we shouldn't make in your own fucking video about making the comparisons.
Characterizing a group like this in your game can be lazy at best, and at worst, actively harmful to the world you're creating. When designing a game's world and populating it with fictional species, a designer might be tempted to differentiate them from one another by certain inalienable qualities, like their moral alignment, violent versus peaceful, law versus chaos, good versus evil, and the like. It's a common trope in speculative fiction, but especially in the context of a game, painting an entire species with the same moral brush actually weakens the entire thing. This idea that a certain subgroup, like race, nationality, or sex, has inalienable traits, is called biological essentialism, or simply bioessentialism. And it's a valid way to talk about qualities like how many legs an animal has, or whether it can fly. But all too often, this concept gets misused in untrue statements, like pit bulls are a violent breed, men are more logical than women, or Asians are better at math.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack here, so let's just go through it one piece at a time. Starting with the idea that labeling one entire species or group in a video game would make them evil. The only counterpoint I have to argue to that is The Lord of the Rings is one of the most popular fantasy novels ever written. It has spawned multiple game series, multiple different fucking iterations of its own books. It enhanced deep background stories, thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars, the ever-popular movie series, the prequel trilogy called The Hobbit, the non-canon spin-offs that take place in between events like the Middle-earth games, on and on and on. J.R.R. Tolkien created one of the most powerful pieces of fantasy fictional media ever created. And big fucking surprise, the very center of it all, the core, the bad guys, are the orcs. Sure, in The Lord of the Rings, they are elves that are corrupted by dark magic and made evil, but yet it completely counters your point that making one group entirely evil just because hurts the whole thing. You know, I can't help but wonder if one were to make a comparison to a real-world group of people that pretty much everybody on the face of the earth, including their descendants, have admitted, yeah, these guys were fucking assholes. These guys were bad. If you would change your tone. I think you know exactly who I'm talking about, but if you don't, their leader was ever famous for his popular mustache that no one can ever have again. Obviously, I'm making a comparison to Nazi Germany. What I'm saying is that if I created a fictional world in which the Nazis still existed by some means, because it was an alternate universe of our world, if I had the Nazis be anything other than entirely evil just because they are evil, you would flip the fuck out. Wouldn't you, Extra Credits? Of course you would. You literally argued that in the video 2 years ago that everyone made fun of you for.
Which do. Now, bioessentialism is a tempting idea in fantasy for some of the same reasons as it is in the real world. Because to our human minds, broad generalizations are comforting. They reduce the world to simple cut and dry categories. All orcs bad, all elves good. Root for these folks, not for these.
Okay, I don't know who the hell decided all elves are good. Fuck the goddamn elves. Elves are a bunch of assholes. I've never once played one form of fucking fictional video game, or watched one fantasy movie, or I played one RPG, tabletop, doesn't matter, where I fucking thought elves were good guys. I've never met a fucking elf in a video game where I wasn't like, wow, you're kind of a fucking dick. You think you're better than me?
But just like in the real world, bioessentialism can present problems in fiction as well, specifically a moral one. The idea that a sapient species can inherently tend towards good or evil acts, or lawful or chaotic ones, and that moral essentialism actually undercuts the greatest strength games can bring to storytelling: the player's own power to make meaningful, interesting choices and judgments for their characters, including moral ones. So if a game's creative choices apply a moral valuation to every member of an entire species before the players even meet them, well, now that's just taking that power away from the players.
I already made my point about this one, but if I told you that the Nazis are just evil and unforgivable and everything they do is wrong, would you believe me, or would you decide that for yourself?
Okay, but now you might be asking, what if you're playing the kind of game where you're engaging in violence because it's exciting and fun, not because of its moral dimensions, where the meaningful choice is about tactics rather than ethics? Maybe the goal is to take moral calculus out of the problem. Sure, one solution might be saying, all orcs are evil, go ahead and shoot them. But in that situation, as soon as someone inadvertently feels some empathy, as people often do for anything seeming even vaguely alive, the easy answer becomes less easy. And if the goal of your game is to stop players from engaging in moral debates and just fight some bad guys, you kinda gotta say something more reliable than, oh, it's fine, they were all born this way.
Video games have a unique aspect to them that other forms of media simply don't have. And that is the ability that, through player interaction, they can shape a world a little differently. A video game can pose moral and ethical quandaries to the player and allow them to decide. For example, when I'm playing Dragon Age and I discover that everyone hates the Tevinter Imperium because it's their fault that God literally left the entire world to fuck itself, then I discover, oh, hey, this guy wants to join me and he's from the Tevinter Imperium. He's not such a bad guy. Maybe they're not all assholes. That poses me the question if I've been right about them from the perspective of my character, who through his entire lifespan has been told the Tevinter Imperium fucking sucks. But not every game has to do that. Not every game has to make me think about what's going on and if it matters. When I'm playing Doom, I don't worry about if the demons are misunderstood, or that if they were just doing what they were told by a higher power. No. Demons killed my fucking rabbit. Doom guy mad. Must rip and tear. Sure, you can have it both ways. You can have a dumb, fun game that is all about the combat or the tactics, like XCOM, and then has a deeper story and quandary. For example, XCOM likes to make you think, hey, maybe the Elders are trying to save themselves from total extinction. I get that, but they still invaded my fucking planet. Let's fuck them up. But not every game needs to have that. They mentioned Warhammer in this, and about how in the regular games, it's just about the tactics. But then in the novels and the RPGs, there's a lot more depth. Yeah, it depends on the individual experience. It depends on the game itself. Not every game needs to be deep, and not every game needs to just be dumb fun. You can go either way, and you can sometimes have it both ways. It depends entirely on what you do. But if you decide, hey, the orcs are the bad guys, like the Middle-earth franchise, where the orcs are the bad guys because they serve the fucking Dark Lord, I'm not going to question, are the orcs the bad guys? I know the orcs are elves corrupted by dark magic and turned evil, okay? They're still evil. They still want to take over the world and help the bad guy. I'm still gonna fucking kill them with my ghost powers.
Fortunately, the real world's made progress on this problem, because sometimes in this day and age, people actually bear visual signifiers which say, I'm evil, not because of where I was born, but because of the choices I've made, such as Nazi uniforms and clan hoods.
What did I fucking say? What did I just fucking say a few minutes ago? I didn't expect them to actually fucking say it in this video. God damn, I can read these people like a fucking book.
Then in fiction, we have things like the Hydra logo, a clear visual signifier, but one that denotes choice, not birth. And if the statement that a game is making with its backstory and symbols is that an enemy had a choice, and they chose wrong, then that gets way less complicated for a game that's interested in uncomplicated violence.
Okay, I'm gonna use your own logic against you here, extra credits, and ask, but who decides what was the wrong choice? Is it me, the player? Because I didn't fucking enter this world until about 10 hours ago. How am I supposed to know if fucking Tevinter douchebag made the right choices or not? I mean, if he's helping me, of course I'm gonna think it's the right choice. But if he's working against me, I'm gonna think it's the wrong choice. And what if I'm actually the asshole in this situation, and I'm actually just making everything worse? How do I know? I don't know until I get to the end of the game!
So whether a game does or doesn't want its players to overthink their character's moral choices, evil as a choice is just more effective than evil as a bioessential trait. But then, of course, if everyone wearing the evil team uniform happens to be an orc, or if every orc happens to have chosen Team Evil, the game wouldn't exactly be communicating that difference very well. A quick fix here would be to show some diversity in the evil team's hiring practices. For instance, with evil humans and elves as well as orcs. Or conversely, introduce orcs who have chosen good and neutral, as well as evil. And a good example of a series getting better and better at this over time is Mass Effect. Because in the first game, Commander Shepard never meets a nice Batarian or a fun Geth. But then, spoiler alert, most of these evil species turn out to be as complex and interesting as the human ones as the trilogy progresses. Broad moral generalizations about species or culture not only doesn't make internal sense, but it also leads to less evocative, less rewarding worlds and games.
I don't think I even need to talk about how bad Mass Effect Andromeda was. But let's focus on your example. Yes, in the first game we only meet evil versions of these particular species. And then in the second game, we meet other ones that aren't a bunch of assholes. But that's just writing. That's basic fucking world building. In the first game, the developers intended them to be the villains. In the second game, they had a different villain, so now they needed to use them for something else. It's not that hard to figure out. When I'm watching Lord of the Rings, I know that the orcs are the bad guys. I'm not going to sit there and expect to see an orc who's trying to help Gondor.
But we can solve that problem by following our best creative instincts to diversify, deepen, and complicate the worlds we create and its denizens.
Yes, of course, because like the Nazis are automatically evil no matter what, which, I mean, granted, you can guarantee that they are, but that's not the point I'm trying to make. Because everything is solved with fucking diversity. Jesus fucking Christ.
This way, players won't be incentivized to make snap judgments about our game's orcs or aliens or undead based on moral absolutes or body types. Instead, we'll all be driven to investigate, explore, and learn. Our players will invest themselves more in our games. And because they're human, ask the hard questions to push our design into even more enriching and unexpected places. Plus, maybe if we ditch this whole evil races line of thinking, if one day orcs or extra-dimensional horrors or even isekai protagonists pop out of a portal, they'll offer us humans the same courtesy.
Oh, wait, you're serious? Let me laugh even harder. You either have far too much faith in humanity, or you're fucking stupid. Basic human nature dictates that if some eldritch horror pops out of a fucking portal in my vicinity, I'm either going to panic, soil myself, and run like hell, or I'm going to try to fucking kill it. You want to know why humans are the dominant species on this planet? It's because our first thought wasn't, oh, can I understand that creature with all the sharp teeth and claws? No, it was, can I eat it, fuck it, and will it try to kill me? We left the understanding for after we had established ourselves as the dominant species. Now we're trying to understand them. But we also still understand that no, we can't fuck it, yes, we can't eat it, and yes, it will absolutely try to kill us. Precaution is a basic survival instinct, for fuck's sake. Alright, so that's pretty much the end of their video. They pretty much just, once again, do their sponsorship for a second time in their video. Actually, come to think of it, given that they did their sponsorship twice and they had like a solid minute of just outro credits where they showed their patrons, which is fine. I mean, pretty much everybody does that. I'm not going to fault them for that. But doing the ad twice, I think there was only like maybe 5 minutes of actual content here. I can't believe that not only are they trying to support the argument that orcs are racist by their very design, which is fucking stupid, but that they sat there and tried to pretend that they were making it about better writing in video games and in fiction. You know you've been doing this too long when, like I can predict exactly what fucking direction they're gonna take it before they even get there. Honestly, I gotta say, this wasn't as bad as their Nazi video, but holy shit, was this just atrocious. What a fucking waste of time. Telling me that if some eldritch three-eyed horror with fucking tentacles and teeth comes out of a portal, I should shake its fucking tentacle and say, "Hello, sir, how are you today?" Like it's not gonna eat my skin. But okay, I think I've made all the points that I need to make here. I've got nothing else. Please leave a like if you enjoyed or dislike it if you didn't. Please let me know down in the comments below what you think of the extra credits video and the things I had to say about it. My name is Magnum Martell. Don't forget to subscribe, ring the bell to turn the notifications on, and I will see you in the next video.